Coming up, a love letter to unusual sandwiches.
A romantic comedy in reverse.
Plus our distraction of the week. I'm Mel.
I'm Dave. This is the Library of Lost Time.
I'm going backlist today.
Are you?
Way back to 2016.
Wow.
Yeah. The book is A Super Upsetting Cookbook About Sandwiches by Tyler Cord.
That sounds right up your alley.
Before I talk about the book, I need to mention another book, or more accurately, a series.
Okay.
Back in the 1970s and 80s, an author named Lawrence Sanders was all over the bestseller list. He wrote more than 40 mystery novels during his career, including the Deadly Sin series, which features a detective named Edward X. Delaney. Teenaged me was very taken with Edward X. Delaney.
How so?
He really liked women. He was kind of curmudgeonly, and he loved sandwiches. I did not love sandwiches. So this was really interesting to me.
This was interesting to you at the time that he loved sandwiches and you did not?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I had not had a really creative, wonderful, change your life sandwich at that point.
Right.
It was like ham and cheese on white bread. Who cares?
Yes. Since then, we've lived a full life and had many change your life sandwiches.
We have. Edward X. Delaney introduced me to the idea of a sink sandwich. This is a concoction that's so sloppy and gloppy, you need to eat it while hunched over the sink. This was also a foreign idea to me. I grew up in a household where we ate dinner like civilized people together every night at 5 p.m.
Right.
So the idea that you would make a sandwich with, sardines and raw onion and mayo was like, what?
Yeah.
And then that it was so gloppy, you just shoved it in your face while hovering over the sink. This all seemed very romantic to me.
And again, we have since had a full life with many kitchen sandwiches.
Get me a stack of napkins.
Yeah.
So, this book.
Yeah.
The author was the chef at a really popular sandwich joint in New York. His cookbook feels like a cousin to Turkey and the Wolf, the cookbook that I talked about in the New Orleans episode.
One of the best books I did not read for this show.
The recipes in both books are very creative and over the top in a really fun way. And the writing is very voicey and irreverent. In the case of this book, it's almost like a memoir. You learn so much about Tyler Cord, the author. I will now read you the head note for a recipe called Lazzaro's Revenge.
Okay.
It's scrambled eggs, pickled jalapenos, Mexican chorizo, and cheese on a toasted English muffin.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah. Here's the head note.
Okay.
Sometimes I wake up feeling like the worst person in the world.
Oh.
More often, I go to bed feeling like the worst person in the world. Look, I know you're not my therapist. In fact, you are essentially paying me to write this, so if anything, it's more like I should be your therapist. And in that regard, I guess I'm not doing a great job. With this newfound understanding of my role in your universe, let me prescribe this sandwich the next time you are about to go to bed feeling like the worst person ever. It's spicy and meaty and delicious, and it always makes me feel better about things. It helps if you look up at the stars while you eat this sandwich and think about how unfathomably large the universe is and how small your problems must be in the history of the entire potentially limitless and timeless universe.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole book is filled with things like that.
Yeah.
It has snarky footnotes. There are little asides snuck into the ingredients list. This guy has commentary on everything. And you could happily amuse yourself by reading it and never making any of the recipes. But the recipes are very alluring. Here are some of the sandwiches I would like to try.
Okay.
Don't Cry for Me, Argentina, which is roast beef with pickled onions, fried shallots, and smoked French dressing. Many intriguing things in there.
Yeah, that sounds good.
The Frito Kid. That's chicken with black bean hummus, maple syrup, and Fritos.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's got everything, right?
Yeah.
Salty, chewy, crunchy, sweet. He also has a version of fried bologna called The Empire Strikes Back, which makes me want to do a head-to-head competition between this one and the one in Turkey and the Wolf. The recipes are definitely project recipes. These are not get out a loaf of bread, slap some slices onto it, and be done.
Yeah.
There are a lot of components. They require some cooking in advance. But there are lots of sauces and relishes, so you could take his basic ideas for the recipes and then put the sauces onto your own concoctions and not have to make all of the components.
Adapt the ideas.
Yes. There's also a chart in the back that shows you how to construct your own sandwiches by layering salty, fatty, acidic, sweet, and crunchy ingredients. And I was like, oh, that would be such a fun summer party to have a big buffet with all of the different kinds of ingredients and let people make their own sandwiches and then take pictures of them.
Name them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, lots of good ideas in this book.
Yeah.
It's called A Super Upsetting Cookbook About Sandwiches by Tyler Cord.
That sounds great. A few weeks ago, the New York Times had an article about the best books of the year so far, and I was glad that a few of our picks made the list. There was Percival Everett's James, which the editors over at Amazon have also picked as their best of 2024 so far.
Everybody loves that book.
Everybody loves that book. The Times also had Martyr by Kaveh Akbar, Wandering Stars from Tommy Orange, and Beautyland by Marie-Helene Bertino, which Mel's going to talk about next week in our space episode.
Oh my gosh. One of my favorite books of the year, maybe an all-time favorite.
Wow.
Yes.
That list in the Times also included a book that is now on my TBR. It's Good Material by Dolly Alderton. This is the story of a relationship that's fallen apart.
Well, gee, Dave, that sounds fun.
It is. It's kind of got like a romantic comedy vibe to it.
Okay.
Even though it's on the other side. In the end, we hear from both parties, but for the first couple of 100 pages, we hear from Andy. Andy's a stand-up comedian. He's funny, but he's also devastated that his girlfriend, Jen, has left him, but he's projecting that in kind of funny ways. He's 35, so he's also suffering a bit of a midlife crisis brought on by the breakup, and that's exacerbated by his struggling career and his living situation. And then the last part of the book is written by Jen. We get her view on what went wrong. And it's a sort of deconstructed romantic comedy. It has all of the parts, the quick dialogue and character chemistry and lots of flirting and misunderstandings. But it also has the wisdom to talk about why relationships fail, or at least why this one did, and how it takes both people to make one go. You get the meet cute and the funny, but you also get the literary examination of a relationship. The Times compared the author to Nora Ephron, which is high praise for me.
Yeah, fun.
Yeah. It looks like a great beach read. It's Good Material by Dolly Alderton.
One of my favorite things about you is how much you love romantic comedy. It's unexpected and delightful.
They're cute.
Yeah.
Distraction of the week. Distraction of the week. We stumble through the avenues, chasing dreams.
We released the India episode of Strong Sense of Place last week. Whenever I research, I frequently find more than I can use, and India was no exception to that. So I'm going to tell you 3 short bits about India that I thought were amazing that did not make the show. First, there are giant rainbow squirrels in India.
Rainbow squirrels.
Yeah. Yeah. So imagine, if you will, a squirrel about twice the size of your typical gray squirrel, so over a foot long.
Mm-hmm.
This chunker is a squirrel that can leap 20 feet between trees. Now imagine that his fur is orange, maroon, and purple.
Stop it.
Yeah, those creatures exist.
Googling it right now.
They're rather unimaginatively called Indian giant squirrels, and they can be found in central and southern India. We'll put pictures in the show notes.
Oh my gosh. I'm looking at a picture right now. It literally looks like a rainbow.
Yeah.
You are not making that up.
Yeah, they kind of have sherbet vibes to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, they're very cute.
Yeah.
You guys, you need to go to the show notes.
Second bit, the largest election of all time just finished in India. The 2024 Indian general election wrapped up on June 1st. Over 600 million people voted.
India is just mind-boggling with the sheer numbers of everything.
Yeah. You try to do anything, and it's just amazing. The Election Commission of India has a few rules that make voting easier for voters but challenging for officials. First, every voter should be at most 2 kilometers away from a polling station.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that means that electric ballot boxes find their way from jungles to the Himalayas and back again. Second, a polling station serves at most 1,500 people. So that means that urban areas have polling stations everywhere. Ultimately, the Indian voting process involves nearly 11 million government workers and security forces. All of that ensures that India has a free and fair election, and no voter is left behind.
That is really awesome.
Isn't that nice?
Mm-hmm.
Third, and finally, there is a free kitchen in Western India that makes a lot of food. They make 100,000 meals a day on a slow day. Sometimes it gets up to 200,000 meals a day. Yeah. The Golden Temple in Amritsar has been feeding people for free for the last 400 years. I imagine it was a little more modest in the 1600s, but now it's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It serves lentils and rice, vegetables, a flatbread, and rice pudding. There's a staff of 300 and another few hundred volunteers. If you're curious, we've got a link to a video that will show you the whole operation. The dishwashing situation itself is enough reason to take a look. That's it. Those are 3 short bits about India that I thought were amazing.
They were also all very nice.
Yeah.
Good job, India. Visit strongsenseofplace.com/library for more on the books we talked about today and photos of giant rainbow squirrels.
Thanks for joining us in the Library of Lost Time. Remember to visit your local library and your independent bookstore to lose some time yourself.
Stay curious. We'll talk to you soon.
The Warning Woods has haunting horror stories that are sure to linger with you long after listening. I'm Miles Tritle, writer and narrator of The Warning Woods. Each week, I write an original scary story and share it with you on The Warning Woods. I've written 2 novels and nearly 200 short stories spanning the horror genre. If you're into scary stories, you need to check out The Warning Woods. Listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for The Warning Woods and click play at your own risk.